Welcome to Simple Kicking with your host, James Hairston.
Welcome back to the second segment of the Big Ten Roundtable with Jake Moody and James McCourt. On this segment, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. So enjoy the Simple Kicking show. This is the Special Teams Lounge with two of the best kickers in the Big Ten. Well, there's a reason why this podcast is the Simple Kicking podcast. There's a reason why it's kind of a lounge, because you keep it simple here, man. You kick back, you take it easy, you talk about what works for you, you talk about your struggles, you hang out with one another, and the whole point here is to help each other grow.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Because I said, the best way for me to improve is by asking other kickers questions about their approach to kicking, because competition, everyone at the end of the day is competing. Everyone has that end goal. They want to, whatever it is, go play in college. They want to go to the NFL. And at the end of the day, Jake and I both want to do this to our best of our ability. And that means that we're competing with each other. But it doesn't really, we all kind of appreciate what each other do. I appreciate how Jake kicks and his mental approach. I know his freshman year, he went in there and he had 5 or 6 field goals in one game, your first game playing. And I remember watching that, and I was I think I'm 2 years above you. And I was damn, this kid's a freshman, and I want to do what he's doing. And I was comparing myself to someone 2 years younger and appreciating that. And that was something new to me. And this growing appreciation that I've had for people and kickers has kind of humbled me and helped me learn and improve my craft. And that's what I kind of like about, the whole kicking, whatever fraternity, whatever it is, because everyone appreciates each other in it, because they know what they go through. They know the highs of kicking. They know the lows of it. They know what it's like to miss. They know what it's like to make. And yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I was really excited to join this, not only to just kind of share my experiences, but to also learn from this, because obviously James is a great kicker. So I was just kind of excited to pick his mind and kind of see his thought process when he goes out there to kick, and just kind of pick up little things throughout this entire thing.
So walk us through it, James. It's third down.
Yeah, we could even start. Normally once the ball kind of passes the 50, I kind of get into a little bit of a zone. I don't really just me personally, I don't really like kicking too many balls into the net. I'll kick a couple one steps and then maybe 1 or 2 fulls with the holder. Or Caleb, the other kicker on the team, he'll hold for me because Blake might be getting ready for punting or something, and I don't really want to mess with him too much. But yeah, and then I started just hanging out by, the 50-yard line where the Gatorades are and stuff like that. I kind of just started hanging out there, and this is kind of just positivity, positive, I always talk about positive affirmations and stuff like that. And I'll write down in my notebook before a game 2 positive affirmations that I have. It could be as corny as I'm a savage, or something stupid I don't know, something like that. Something positive, something that can kind of give you the confidence that you need. And I can replay those in my head, just those positive affirmations. And I started kind of implementing that more and more. I wish I knew this earlier, but I implemented that throughout the season, and it really helped me kind of get into the mindset of, an athlete and not just a kicker, and kind of being a part of the game, because I really do enjoy football, and I enjoy watching it, and I enjoy knowing what's going on in the game. Just because I feel our position's as important as any other when it comes to we put points on the board, or we have field position, that just helps. And yeah, I guess my mental approach has kind of gone from being kind of a spectator and going on for one play at a time to kind of being an athlete, being an asset to the team, and going on there and doing my job. But yeah, when it comes to kicking and stuff like that on the sidelines, I'm in the net, but I'm not. I always see a lot of kickers, and you could be one, that are in the net all game. And I don't know, that for me, I don't really get the same. I'd rather visualize the kick hitting my foot in a better way than kind of hitting the ball 20 times in the net until I get that feeling that I want. But how about you? Like, I was going to ask you about kind of short, like your mental approach to shorter kicks and stuff like that, because, that's where I struggled a little bit last year, inside 45. And that's something I'm really trying to improve on this year.
I try my best to obviously go out there with the mindset that every kick's the exact same kick. It's the same steps. So you just got to line it up different depending on what hash you're on and all that. But I try and think of every kick as the exact same kick, but obviously it's going to be a little different from a PAT to like a 60-yarder.
Yeah, that's why I say, I say that because, like, I forgot who I was talking to, but they were asking, like, is every kick the same kick? And you're like, yeah, it is, but it's not really the same kick. Like, I don't really I like going to that mindset for certain things, but then you have to adapt in certain situations. You know what I mean? Like, not every golf shot's the same golf shot, and you have different clubs, and sometimes I like using that. Like, sometimes you need to pull out a driver or 7-iron or whatever. And but yeah, I agree with you there. But do you like hitting into the net and stuff like that, or what's your deal with that?
I haven't really been like a net like hitter. I don't like to hit 100 balls before I go out there. I just try and hit maybe 3 to 5 max. Because honestly, when you're out there, what you did in the net's not really going to matter. Like whatever happens out there happens, and you can't really control it. So, exactly. And I also like to think like I don't want to waste like a good kick into the net. So I won't waste like 15 swings, but right before I go out there.
Mm-hmm. So if the line of scrimmage for a short kick, let's say it's on the 15-yard line, ball spotted on the 15 right hash, where are you actually standing on the sideline before you run out?
So I try and come in around like 20 to 25 yards behind the ball and kind of like do a little bit of a J shape, like a U shape, get on the hash mark it's going on and kind of walk down, or not kind of walk down my line and do like one or two dry swings, and then pick out. What I do is I kind of get to my ball and then I pick out something, like I pick out a target. I don't really focus too much on the uprights. I kind of pick out a target, whether it be something in the scoreboard or something on the net, pick that out, and then kind of do my steps back and steps over. I've tried different things like picking out the center of the crossbar. I've tried picking out, or not aiming, just aiming at just imagining something to aim at that's in the middle. But I think what works best for me is actually having a physical like landmark that I can look at, and that's really kind of the only thing going through my head right before the kick.
I also like to pick out like a little individual thing. For home games a year ago, they actually made it pretty tough for us because we have our giant scoreboards right above the goalposts. So what they used to do was they would like zoom in right on our face. So when I'd go up to pick my target, I'd be staring myself in the face.
Yeah.
So,
that's the worst.
Yeah, it was pretty awkward. So we had to contact whoever the video guy was, and we told him to just put up a big block M so I could pick out different little corners on the M depending on where I'm at. And I felt like that helped a lot. Just that little simple change from videoing us to just putting a big block M up there.
Do you take into account like a lot of wind or no?
In the Big Ten, you definitely have to take into account the wind. Depending on the stadium, you have to know how the wind will blow around. And I think it was Wisconsin, the way their stadium's set up is the way that you feel it on the field, it's actually blowing the opposite way once you get like a certain height in the air. Mm-hmm. So you could be thinking that you have a field goal with the wind at your back, when in reality it's gusting in your face once it gets above like 10 feet.
Okay.
So it's really tough to play the wind, but I like to take the uprights and like split them into these different sections. So I'll have like L1 is like a little bit left to center, and then L2 and L3. Mm-hmm. And so depending on how strong the wind is, I evaluate it with my coach also, and he'll tell me what he thinks, like whether it's L1, L2, or L3 on how far over I should start aiming or just around there. And then I try and pick a spot within that zone to aim at.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. I've never really heard that before. I like that.
Yeah, that's definitely helped out a lot rather than just kind of blindly like aiming right or left. It gives you something to actually really focus on. Yeah.
Are you picking your target on your steps over or your steps back? Because I've always kind of had this like internal argument myself. I was like, all right, I pick my target on my steps back, and then I get over to my spot. It can be, not in the center. Or like, should I pick my target or just a line? Then when I take my steps over, then pick a center target. So what do you do?
I always try and pick my spot on my steps back because that's when it's where I'm trying to aim. So I just trust my steps. I pick out the spot, and then I've practiced my steps so many times that I know that I'm going to end up in the exact same spot within like an inch or two. So I pick out that spot that I want to kick it to before I take my steps over. And I just know that after I took my steps over, if I picked out the spot correctly in my steps back, then I don't have to worry about it changing. So
yeah. Do you look up at that spot on your steps over, or are you just directly to the ball or the snapper or wherever? Do you look at the snapper or do you look at the holder?
I used to be I would follow the ball from the snapper to the holder. Yeah. But I recently switched to just looking down at like the spot where the ball is going to get placed.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of like the less movement, the more consistent you're going to be, like the less moving parts. So I think that's actually helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. It kind of saves me from not being like too fast the ball. Like if I can get that op time, like around 1.3, like I lean on like a 1.32, more 1.33. I don't really think it affects it too much. But if I look at the ball coming from the snapper, I feel like I'm too fast to the ball, and then I'm like all over on top of it, and my plant foot could be, in different places.
So whenever I've got the pro post pulled up here, and that kind of breaks it down into, the 9 foot width right down the middle and leaves you, roughly 4.5 feet on the outside. If you've got a wind, typically where's that wind coming at Michigan Stadium? Is it coming from left to right to left? What is it typically?
Honestly, it changes during the game. It'll be going from right to left, and then in the next quarter, it's going left to right. So, you never really know until you're out there. So this is going to be, dead middle down the center. You have a right to left wind. What is your target line going to be? Honestly, if it's not like a super strong wind, but it's not like really calm either, let's say maybe like 5 to 10 miles an hour. From the right center that you have right there, I'd honestly probably aim at that right, like upright in the middle.
The right pro post? Yep.
Yeah, the pro post. I would probably, aim right around there. And I just got to trust that I'm going to hit a straight ball, and the wind should take it right into the middle.
What about for you, James? Same situation.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to that. I don't really like aiming, too far outside of, right center and left center. Just because for me, like my mentality towards that is just like, if you aim for the center and I miss right, it's going to go in. Aim for the center, miss left, it's going to go in. Small misses. And I remember it's interesting, like when our bowl game was over in San Francisco. We played at the 49ers stadium, and Chase played for the 49ers when Robbie Gould was on IR for a couple of weeks. And he had, Robbie Gould had painted he had like some workers at the stadium paint, like, I don't know, like must be like three stories up, like the highest rows of, like, you know, where the scoreboard, like the small scoreboard strip, but it was like just concrete. And he had painted probably the size of like the pro post, the ribbon, but it was concrete, and probably the size of the pro post. He had painted it in like a dark gray or like a black color. And he said he would never really aim outside that. And that was a pretty windy stadium over there. And, you know, I kind of like that. Once, like, if I start aiming a little too far right, I'm not comfortable back in my steps. And that's kind of the most important thing for me. If I'm comfortable back there, that's all that really matters. You know, if I'm back there and I'm like, maybe I should have aimed a little more left, or maybe and I'm just second guessing and I have all these thoughts that are going through my mind before the kick, then I've lost the battle already.
Typically when you're maybe hitting from the left hash, so I'm kind of interested. Do you guys know your tendencies if you were kicking from, call it 33 left middle, where your misses would be, or where you, not even where you miss, but your tendencies of where your ball crosses the uprights?
For me, my tendencies, I'm actually pretty solid on the left hash. Like, I'll give myself that, but on the right hash is where I struggle more. I have a tendency to miss it to the right from the right hash, and that's just a result of my steps not being perfect. And it's not just my steps. Last year I figured that after I took my steps, I like to take kind of like a little extra step back with my left foot, and I was angling my right foot a little bit farther right than I usually did when I was like for a middle kick. And so that was kind of leaving all my balls out to the right. So I've really worked hard on the right hash lately to improve those kicks so I can just get rid of those tendencies.
Even when you make it, you see these blue arrows where I'm kind of drawing it. Is that typically where you make it as well?
Yeah, I unless I absolutely like rip my hips like way too hard, all my makes from the right hash are usually going in on that right side where those blue arrows are. So I've been trying to work on getting those down the middle rather than just kind of sneaking them in from the right side.
What about you, James? You said that you were struggling with shorter kicks. Was there certain areas on the field that you were struggling with on those shorter kicks?
Yeah, so for some reason, like between the 30 and the 40 on the left hash, I had this tendency to kind of block my hips out and hit the super like spinny ball that would end up right. I wouldn't really be able to get through the ball like I would want to. So I would kind of leave my hips open. My plant foot would be aimed too far right, and just wouldn't be able to close my hips down towards my target line. And it would just result in this kind of high spinny kick that would end up going out to the right. And yeah, I really haven't, like Jake, I really didn't have a problem with pulling the ball too much to the left. If anything, I think I think I missed one kick last year that was to the left, and that's just because I pulled it way too much because I was worried I was going to miss it right, but all my other misses were to the right upright. So that was something I really, honed in on, was my left hash kicks. And yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable just really focusing on getting my hips through more than I think on the left hash, and trusting my steps. I would have a kind of a tendency to kind of take more of like an obtuse angle on the left hash. Just visually, it's kind of more appealing for a kicker, for a right-footed kicker. I feel like if you see that a lot on the left hash, guys will kind of straighten out their steps over. Because on the right hash, I feel like for me and for right-footed kickers, you kind of feel like you're more downhill, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I feel more comfortable on the right hash for some reason. And on the left hash, I feel like I was working uphill, and I had to kind of close down my hips, and I just wasn't really trusting it because I thought I was going to hook the ball. But
and even when you make it, are you making it inside the right upright?
when I make my left hash kicks, I kind of have a little bit of a draw on my balls, so they kind of draw in pretty nicely to the center. Because I don't know, I feel like if I hit my A ball, they tend to just tail off a little bit to the left, just because I'm. I don't know. I just kind of like that visually. Also, I don't know why.
So using like a simple kicking tracker, your A ball is going to start a little bit off to the right, and it's going to come back down here.
Yeah, not even like crazy center. Just kind of if I'm aiming from 33 on the left, it will kind of finish right over the right pro post.
Okay, and then Jake, what's your A ball from the left hash?
Yeah, mine's actually really similar to that. I like to have like a little bit of draw to mine. My A ball is not going to be like dead straight. It'll always kind of have like a little bit of a draw to it. And I think that's kind of a result of my swing type, which is kind of more across rather than just straight up and down. So I think that really it depends on how you swing. And it's not just just by coincidence. So I think that I get that little bit of draw because of how I swing.
And then what about your B ball, Jake? Where's your B ball from this left middle area?
My B ball would actually have like a little bit more of a like straighter flight path, and it would probably end up right of the pro post. It's a pretty dead straight ball, but it won't have quite as much power behind it, and it'll be a little bit more of like a fast spinner. So I'm just not really making like great contact with it.
Yeah, mine is pretty identical to that, honestly. Kind of a spinny ball that kind of cuts through the wind a little better. And I don't really mind those balls too much. Obviously, a B ball is fine. Because what I kind of realized is this ball spinning faster. Like if we're going against the wind, and I tell Blake, I'm like, yeah, can you lean the ball a little bit more forward on this one? Because for me, that makes the ball spin a little more, and it kind of cuts through the wind, what I've found. So the wind doesn't really affect it too much. But yeah, same thing. My B ball will be a little more spinny, ending up towards the right upright.
So if I was to cut the field goal post in half, what we're finding out about y'all's A and B ball is that from the left, you both have a tendency to make the kick between the middle of the upright and the right upright, and that's perfectly bisected by the pro post. And this brings up an important point that you guys have identified in your own careers. Hey, if I'm going, in golf, they talk about managing your miss. Why don't we manage our miss in kicking? And this comes down to a key word that James brought up earlier, which is trust, and specifically trusting your steps. Hey, Simple Kicking fans, this marks the second intermission. The following segment will talk more about trust, competing, and recruiting. So check back for the third and final segment of the Big Ten Roundtable. If you enjoyed the content, man, drop a like, comment, or even subscribe. It would be really cool to hear from you. Also, you can find Simple Kicking on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and even TikTok.